Hey guys, it's Nathan from the Kentucky Cycling YouTube channel. We are in Cumberland, Maryland. Last year, we actually completed the Gap Trail, which is a 150-mile long rail trail that goes from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania down to Cumberland, Maryland. And this year, we're picking up at mile marker 0 for the Gap onto the C&O Canal Towpath, which is the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal Towpath, which, as you can see behind me, actually depicted by this canaler with a mule, was actually a 184.5 mile long towpath along a canal which was used to transport goods by canal boat between Cumberland, Maryland and Washington, D.C. So we are really looking forward to traveling through the C&O Canal Towpath Historic Park over the next 3.5 days as we make our way from Cumberland to D.C. Really looking forward to it. I want to extend a huge thank you to James Menzies, who hosts and authors a volunteer website called bikewashington.org. It was the primary resource that we used in planning our trip on the C&O, and something I'd wholeheartedly recommend as a resource to others. The canal was built between 1828 and 1850, and it operated sporadically between floods until 1924. In 1954, U.S. Supreme Court Justice William O. Douglas organized an 8-day hike up the canal's towpath in an effort to save it from being converted to a parkway. His effort succeeded, and in 1971, the canal became a National Historic Park. Today, much of the canal has been drained of water and reclaimed by the forest. But as you'll see in this video, not only are there numerous sections that still hold water, but it even looks like a river in some areas. Some other trail features that you're not likely to find very many other places in the world are riding through or past 74 locks and 11 aqueducts. When riding from Cumberland to DC, the overall elevation of the trail is downhill, which is underscored by the fact that you typically get a fun little downhill stretch of trail after each lock on the towpath. Between the many lock houses, mills, and other points of interest along the trail, you really get a sense that you're riding through history. The riding surface and presentation of the towpath is as varied as the different sections of the canal itself. From a single to double track, sandy clay, mud, and gravel, from smooth to chunky, this trail has it all. We spent our first night on the trail in Paw Paw, West Virginia, which had a nice connector trail into town. There are lots of different lodging options on the C&O, ranging from hotels and bed and breakfast to the free hiker-biker campsites and everything in between. In Paw Paw, we stayed at the Canal Cabins, which offered a tiny cabin with bunk beds and a bathhouse. It was really nice to sleep in a bed that first night after driving up from Kentucky. The next morning, we encountered what is said to be the most impressive engineering feature of the canal, the Paw Paw Tunnel. Located between mile 155 and 156, the 3,100-foot-long tunnel was constructed between 1836 and 1850 and was the final link joining Cumberland to the Chesapeake Bay. Many veteran cyclists of the C&O recommend walking your bike down the 5-foot-wide path through the tunnel, while others insist that it is very rideable. After some discussion, we decided to ride it, but think it's important to point out that the surface of the tunnel is very uneven, so attempting to ride without a bright light could easily result in an unwanted accident. The section between Paw Paw and Hancock, Maryland is probably one of the most remote sections of the trail. We were very fortunate to be riding this section in dry conditions. As we would learn later in our ride, rain can make a big difference in the riding condition of the trail. We stopped off at Bond's Landing to get our first good look at the Potomac from river level. There are many landings close to the towpath. With the river often just beyond the trees, it's great to stop and take in the beauty of the river at different points along the trail. Across the canal bed are the remains of the once prosperous Round Top cement mill. The 8 kilns could produce 48 tons of burnt lime per day. The rocks in this area also tell a story of a violent collision between the North American and African tectonic plates 240 million years ago. The force of the collisions, which also form the Appalachian mountain chain, caused the rocks to fold and fault, creating the upward arch in the rock layers. We stopped off for lunch in Hancock, Maryland. On our way into town, we crossed over the Western Maryland Rail Trail, which parallels the C&O in this section. We spent our second night on the trail in Williamsport, Maryland. After enjoying a dinner at Tony's Pizzeria, we made our way out of town to Jellystone Park, where we camped. After passing a number of beautiful hiker-biker spots along the river, there was a part of me that wished we had camped in one. But I have to admit that having access to showers and electricity were a nice perk after a long day in the saddle. After packing up our gear the next morning, we pedaled back into town to get a bite to eat before getting back on the trail. Lock 44 and the corresponding lock house in Williamsport have been very nicely restored and are worth taking a little time to explore before heading down the trail. The footbridges and paths in and around the lock allow you to get up close and personal and really get a sense of how the locks functioned. The peacefulness and serenity of the big Slackwater and McMahon's Mill area are unmatchable along the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal National Historic Park. Stretching from milepost 88.1 to 84.4, these areas of the towpath provide majestic views of the calm water of the Potomac River. Although the C&O Canal boats traveled within the canal prism, Big Slackwater was one of the few areas along the towpath that boats exited into the Potomac River. We stopped off in Shepherdstown, West Virginia for lunch. After making our way up the connector trail to the Route 34 bridge, we crossed over the river and made our way to the Blue Moon Cafe. Founded in 1762, Shepherdstown is full of history. It is also home to Shepherd University and presents as a very cool little college town worthy of exploration. When we got back on the trail, there was a very noticeable change in the riding surface. In doing a little post-ride research, I've learned that the park is working to resurface the towpath in phases over the next several years. As of the date of this video, the resurfaced section of the towpath extends from Shepherdstown all the way down to about mile 31. The base layer of the new towpath surface is crush and run gravel. The top layer is stone dust. The crush and run layer creates an adequate drainage system so that heavy rainfall can easily drain off the towpath. A few more miles down the road, we arrived at historic Harper's Ferry and crossed over the footbridge, which is part of the Appalachian Trail. You really can't pass by Harper's Ferry without taking some time to explore the national park and the natural beauty of the surrounding area. Not only known for its Civil War history, it is perhaps even more famously known from an effort by abolitionist John Brown from October 16th to 18th, 1859, to initiate a slave revolt in the southern states by taking over the United States arsenal that was located here. We spent our last night on the trail in Brunswick, Maryland. We pitched our tents and grabbed showers at the Brunswick Family Campground, which is located between the trail and the river at mile 54, before walking a little over a mile back into town for dinner at the Smoketown Brewing Station. The Bike Washington site provided us with a useful tip to bring earplugs due to the train activity that occurs at night in the nearby rail yard. We had a light, steady rain throughout the night, which thankfully tapered off by morning. After shaking out our rain flies and getting packed up, we made use of the bike cleaning station to clean our drivetrains a bit before heading out for the final leg of our journey. stopped off at the One Stop Deli, located in a gas station in Point of Rocks, Maryland, and picked up sandwiches for both breakfast and lunch before getting back on the trail. For a spectacular view of the Potomac River as it roars through the gorge, park your bike and take a short, easy quarter-mile footpath across bridges to Olmsted Island and the Great Falls overlook. The path crosses over the river's floodplain before giving you an up-close vantage point of the Great Falls Rapids. marker 0 if you want to go there.
Where is it? Where is it?
Follow me. As always, we hope you found this content useful. If you did, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, be sure to check out our video on the Great Allegheny Passage. Thanks.